Hey, I wanted to do an example. We've got an equation for calculating force of friction, right? We have an equation. That equation was force of friction equals this coefficient of friction times force normal, okay? Now there's a graph that goes with it, right? I can apply that force, drops down, and this was the static friction, and this is kinetic. Okay? So the scenario is I've got a force applied of 10 newtons to a 5 kilogram object. So I'm trying to find friction force. So let's fill out our free body diagram. Free body diagrams, it's usually the key. Right? You've got force of gravity, and we can do that real quick now. I hope we can do that really quick now. 5 times 10, 50 newtons. Okay? Force normal, before we act too quickly. Is there any other force that's contributing upward or downward? Since the force is horizontal, then no. That means these two forces are equal, 50 newtons. Now, what if that force were applied at an angle? That means there's some upward contribution, so that normal force should be less than 50. So think about that. That's an extra credit question on an assessment if you need a hand with that. Okay, and that means I'm pulling and I've got a force of friction. Now, I don't know if this is enough to get it moving. It's got to overcome this peak, right? So the first thing I want to know is, do I overcome static friction? Okay? So my force of friction, static, is going to be 0.5 times my normal force, which is 50. And what is that going to be? Now I can do that really quick. I get my calculator out. That 25 newtons, that Wait. If that's 25 newtons, am I actually having 25 newtons of a friction force? If I apply 10 this way, is it accelerating that way? Actually, no. What we found is 25 newtons for this 5 kilogram object is the peak. We've only applied up to, say, 10 newtons. So in this example, is the object moving? No, the object is not moving. So the friction force, right, since it's not moving, they're equal and opposite. The friction force, right, is less than 25. It's actually only 10 newtons. Okay? So, the question I would have is, what force would it need to be to get it moving and accelerating, right? So I'd need to apply a force that was greater than. So if I have a force, this force applied for it to get moving needs to be greater than 25 newtons. So in my next example, I'll change that. Let's say to 30 newtons, and then we will calculate our force of friction. Would it be 30 newtons or not? Okay, so that's example 1.